Howdy, y'all. This is Ethan Bonreal back at it again, giving you that gay shit you love. And today we are doing something a little bit different. I am actually here with the creator of Newfound Courage, the game that I just started playing on my channel about two or so days ago. I'm here with the creator, Curtis Campion, and he is actually really cool. We met through the power of Reddit. He posted about his game being completed on the Gaymer, that's Gamer with a Y subreddit, and I saw that and I shot him a message, and now through the great gay powers that be, I am here and he is here. Do you want to say hi, Curtis?
Hey,
Hello, hello.
happy
Um,
to be here.
oh my gosh, I'm blushing again because he's very nice. He's a very nice person. So basically, this is gonna take the form of an interview. So I guess we should just hit the ground running, right? Do you
Sounds good.
want to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, my name is Curtis Campion. I created Newfound Courage. Um, yeah, I make games, I guess.
All right, yeah, that's good enough for me. That's why you're here. That's that's how we met. So how old are you?
So I'm 26. 27 next month, but yeah, 26.
Okay, we're pretty close in age. That's pretty hype. I'm actually 27, and I'm crawling towards 28 pretty soon here. Uh,
Nice.
and oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And where are you from?
So I'm originally from a tiny town in Australia called Tolga. When I lived there, it had a population of around 600 people. When I turned 17, I moved to Sydney. Then I lived in London for a bit, then back in Sydney, and now I live in Montreal.
Oh,
So
that's
everywhere.
yeah, you're a globetrotter now. That's pretty hype. All right. And what about your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
So I play way too many video games, as I think we probably all do on
Mm-hmm.
that subreddit anyway. But yeah, I'm loving the Switch. My partner and I got it like the day it came out. But yeah, we're loving the Switch. Have basically every game by Nintendo that's come out on the Switch. We basically have at this point, so we play that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Um, and in the last, few months, because it's winter here in Montreal, all I've done is watch TV. So that's like big mood as far as my hobbies go. But typically I like to play basketball, and yeah.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So that's actually a pretty diverse setup. I'm the same, but I refuse to play any sort of sport.
Why not?
Well, I just actually that's not true. I refuse to play any sort of team sport because that requires me to cooperate with people.
Well, I
Um,
like playing on a team because then it's not as obvious that I'm really bad.
that's valid. That's valid. My thing also is that I'm really impatient, and if I'm not carrying something, like if I'm not doing like really well, and dragging my teammates along, I'm just not super emotionally invested in it. So, I like being in the spotlight a little bit. But yeah. Oh, what's up?
My brothers are the same. They can't stand team sports pretty much for the exact reasoning you've said.
Oh, that means they're woke, honestly.
Yeah.
So in addition to basketball, you said you watch TV and play video games. Is there a particular show you're watching right now that you're pretty into?
Like no joke. Like I mean, I'm experiencing my first winter here, like a real winter in Montreal, like in the sense that it actually gets like dangerously cold. So I think we've watched about 50 TV shows in the last 6 months. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
hard to pinpoint one, but I really enjoyed Maniac, that new Netflix one that came out recently. Have
Okay.
you seen that?
Um, no, it's actually a meme for me that I actually
Really?
literally do not consume any media besides video games. Unless it is extremely gay, in which case
um,
I will just slurp that up through a straw and just inject it directly into my blood.
yeah, I don't think there was any gay storyline, unfortunately.
Wah,
But
wah. That's
there
okay
were
though.
some cool characters that had some serious gay energy, though. So,
Oh, that's good to
but
know.
that's probably just like I think characters that are cool all have gay energy.
Yeah, they got that aura that you can see around them.
Yeah, I mean heterosexuals aren't that cool. Oh, they're okay.
I got I can 100% relate. That's actually why a lot of shows are a little bit boring to me, TBH.
Totally. That like I can't stand like that whole will they won't they heterosexual romance. It's so boring. They will, I
They
promise.
will. Yeah, exactly. They will, and it'll probably result in babies being born eventually.
Which will ruin the TV show.
Wah, wah.
Anyway.
All right. So, other than shows, do you have any particular games you're interested in right now, or?
So I've dipped back into Overwatch recently to play Baptiste. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's how you say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but otherwise, I'm still playing like loads of Super Smash Bros. Do you have a Switch?
Oh yeah, I actually stream Super Smash Bros. Pretty
Oh,
frequently, and
how good is it?
it is good. Actually, I enjoy it. Okay, so here's my little spiel. I enjoy it. There are objectively problems with it if you're interested in playing the game competitively.
Mm,
Because the internet service, even if you have good Wi-Fi, is booky. It's not very
hmm.
good. um,
Totally.
and you would need a wired connection to be able to really play it well, but that cost an extra $20 to get the adapter for that. So
Yes.
I just feel like Nintendo's ruffling through my pockets pretty aggressively here because they know I want to do it. Because I already bought
Yeah.
the GameCube controller and adapter,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
that's my opinion on it. But I played a lot.
I mean, I kind of find like, I mean, you get it with Splatoon 2 even, like, you get so many dropouts in that game. It's almost every other game, like, one team has a disconnect on it. I just feel like Nintendo's online services are just pretty crap. And I mean, like, one thing I always complain about with Nintendo is their matchmaking abilities. Like,
Hmm.
you just get these, I mean, I'm talking about Splatoon again here, but like, you get these match combinations where like one team is full of level 90s and you have like the other team is like a level 2 and a level 4 and you and a level 10 or something. It's just I feel like Nintendo could definitely improve their online services.
Yeah, it is a little bit awkward. Like I remember playing games and just remembering that like, you know what's probably happening? I am probably playing with a literal 12-year-old right now.
Yeah.
In addition to like college students. And so there's just
Yeah.
going to be like a really big discrepancy between skill here that Nintendo isn't particularly interested in remedying. But
And that's one thing I love about Overwatch is
mhm.
that Overwatch has got like you pretty much win 50% of the time no matter what. And I mean that seems fair to me.
That must be nice because honestly, I don't have that that same
Oh, really?
situation. I'm
Well,
uh,
I don't really play competitive because
I'm well, I'm terrible at Overwatch also.
all
I
right.
am not very good at FPSs. I was not that type of young homosexual. Um so I very recently started playing them and I actually started on a really aggressive aiming training
Oh
regiment and
no.
I'm still bad. But anyway,
But that's the good thing about Overwatch, right? You can play like Mercy. You never have to aim.
that's valid, but I just refuse to play Mercy unless like whenever I play a healer, and this is a meme also, whenever I play a healer, I just become a very toxic person. Just something about gays and playing healers and having that power over people's lives just creates like tyrants. And
Fair
that's very
enough.
much me.
I mean,
But
you're pretty much doing everybody a favor, so you might as well be a tyrant.
see, that's exactly why I shouldn't do it because I feel that way. But moving on, because we've been talking for 9 minutes about this. I
It's
also,
good content.
yeah, I also wanted to ask, did you have like any influential games growing up, like as a young homosexual that like really reached out to you or anything?
So the main one that I point to is Fable because that was the first. You could. Did you ever play the original Fable on Xbox?
So my cousin had it, and I knew from the internet that you could like be gay in it, and I wanted to so bad, but it was like on his system, and I was like, what if he finds out?
Yeah, right. And I mean, yeah, exactly. So I played that, and it was like I'm doing this as a joke, and then like, in hindsight, it's like, oh yeah, that probably felt pretty right. like, because you're playing with your brothers or something, you don't want to,
Yeah,
be
you want
too obvious about it.
yeah, you want it to be like a meme,
Yeah.
basically. Oh, look at
I'm just
this.
kidding.
This,
I
yeah,
love ladies.
yeah, exactly. It's pretty funny. Any other games you want to mention, or any genres of game?
I mean, like, I get like not necessarily from a story perspective, but I would say that one of the most influential games that I've had in my childhood was Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo. So that's I think that's Harvest Moon Back to Nature, but that was a top-down pixel art style game, and Stardew Valley is essentially that game plus a ton of other stuff that you wished was in that game, but it was like the '90s, so you have to give them some slack.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so like yeah, that game and the relationships in that game, I just love the idea of that sort of wholesome non-combat style of game. You know, I just find it very refreshing.
Yeah, it is very nice. I was actually talking about a while. I mean, I talk about this regularly that like gays tend to have like a certain genre of game they hone in on when they're growing up that like meets some sort of social need they had.
Mm.
And for me, I was a little bit of an RPG gay, although I did grow out of that pretty early, but I was an RPG game basically just because I liked seeing people be friends. I liked the story. I liked imagining and seeing people be close to each other and being like in my little gay head, what if one of these people was a homo and they were just accepted by all of their friends? Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
nice?
yeah.
Um, but other than that, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's good to know. And I also
I
am a big
totally
fan
agree
of
with you. By the way,
Stardew. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good to know. That has sometimes been a controversial opinion. Some people are like, well, actually, everyone wants to have friends. They don't, not just fucking gay people, but they
yeah,
don't get, they just don't get it. They don't get
yeah.
like the isolation part. But
It's like trying to explain why representation is important to somebody who's only ever been represented in media. You know, like
yeah,
why
yeah.
it's important for a gay person to see a film that has a cool gay person in it, like someone to aspire um, to somebody who is like white and male heterosexual who's just every film that's ever had a hero has been them. You know what I mean? Like they just can't get it.
Yeah, yeah. It don't compute. Don't compute at all. So, I guess we should move on to actually talking about the game you've made. It's been 12 minutes, right? Let's let's do this. So I guess and you know what? I gave him a list of notes at the start of this, and I didn't actually write this one down, but it's on my notepad.
Okay.
So
This is gotcha journalism.
yeah, what made you decide to make video games?
So for me, it was a method for storytelling.
Hmm.
So the story for Newfound Courage, I probably started writing about 5 years ago, I think.
Oh,
And I've written like 60, 70,000 words. That was meant to be a novel. It was all rubbish. But I've got a background in technology. I've been working in tech pretty much since I left high school. Like my first job out of high school was like a trainee, like an internship style thing in tech. So I kind of I started learning to code for my corporate life,
hmm,
and I was doing that through making games. So I figured if I had to do something boring, I might as well put something I'm passionate about, like somewhere in the whatever I'm rambling, but
no, that's
so
okay. Ramble.
I started just coding to help my corporate life, and then I realized that I could do it, and that's something I would for anybody who listens to this. Anybody can make games nowadays. Like, not anybody can make any game, obviously, but if you want to make a game, the tools are out there right now. Where even if you can't write a line of code, you can still do it. But yeah, so I started coding, and then obviously, I mean, not obviously, but it just clicked. Like, I'm an avid gamer. I've been gaming my whole life, and I'm trying to write this story. While I love reading and I read a lot, telling a story through a video game just felt a lot more organic for me. So yeah, that's how I got started. Really, just to tell that story I'd been writing for so long.
Wow, that's really hype. And you know what I want to also to say to our viewers out there, which resonates with this, is that a lot of the popular gay games, especially the ones that I have played on my channel, A lot of the creators started in the same situation where they had never made a video game before, and they were just like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Mm.
Basically, let's just go ahead and mess around and see what we can do. And then it clicked for them that I can do this. Like the creator of Coming Out on Top, who was very successful, she had never made a game before, and
Mm.
the creator of Eldit basically is teaching himself to code and make music for the game at the same time. And I don't know if you've seen Eldit yet. This is my plug for it because it's really pretty. It looks fucking great, and the story looks really unique. So I'm really excited for that.
I'm disappointed that I haven't heard of this, but
Man, I'm sorry, we're gonna get on a tangent real quick. Man, the creator of Eldit, just like he's really cute, and then also again it just really it gags me that he created all of this by himself. He didn't know how to code, and he taught himself to make music and video games all at the same time, and it's
yeah,
come out so good.
that's incredible. Like, I mean, I had a lot of help with art and music, so anybody who manages to do it all, lots and lots of respect.
Yeah. So, pulling back to your game. So, you said that you'd been basically messing around or writing a plot for this game, or the ideas that went into it, for about 5 or so years. But, how long did the actual process of making the game take?
So I basically 1 year, almost to the day, actually. So I that's 1 year full time. So I wasn't doing any other type of work. I left my basically I saved up for a long time so that I could take a break from my primary career to try and do this. Yeah, so 1 year full time. I basically started 28th of February, which is to say that's when I left my job, and then I finished the final part of the game in early access 28th of February this year. So basically, one entire year full time, and then throughout that, I also had time from artists, well, an artist and a composer as well. That so probably more than a year full time, all things told. But for me, it was a year of my time.
Okay. So that seems actually pretty doable. I always wonder about like the timetable of making a video game, and I'm like, doesn't this take like all of someone's life to basically do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's hard for me to
It
imagine.
depends. Sorry. It depends on like how much of it you want to do yourself with video game development, and how much you want to break out of the mold. Because, like for example, visual novels, you could like there's a lot of tools out there that have everything you need to create a really great visual novel. Like just straight up, you just basically need to bring your own story, your own art assets, and your own music. Um, but like if you want to do things that maybe don't have an engine that are directly responsible for doing everything that you need, then you have to start writing custom code and stuff like that. And that is what can really, make a game take a lot longer to build. I was quite lucky because there were tools out there that almost did everything I needed. So I kind of was somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Also, important question: what did you use to make the game?
So I used Unity and the Unity Asset Store. So Unity can be your best friend and your worst enemy,
Mm-hmm.
but the Asset Store that it has is really fantastic. I mean, when it comes to having quality video game assets, there are a lot of tools out there that rely on developers to create add-ons and stuff like that for free, and you're just never going to get great quality if somebody's doing all this work for free, right? So
Yeah.
the Unity Asset Store, you have to pay for the assets you get, of course, but that means that the developers who are creating them are writing really good code and they're offering really good support. Um, so I like Unity, but it would be nothing if it wasn't for the asset store. In particular, I used an asset called Adventure Creator. I had to
Mm-hmm.
change it quite a bit, but that is a really fantastic asset, particularly if you want to make a point and click adventure game or something like that. I think it does like a Telltale game style has like that sort of so you can do a Telltale game in that engine as well. Anyway, it's a really great engine, and I highly recommend it.
Okay, good to know for all my aspiring game creators out there. That didn't make any sense to me because I don't know anything about making games quite yet. But
Sorry.
I do. No, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. But I do see people using Unity to make a lot of things when I'm browsing like indie games online. So I fully believe you.
And when you're starting out, Unity it's a very well tread. Like if you have an issue, you could Google it and usually find a solution to your issue. You're not like stuck trying to reverse engineer the whole engine to fix whatever problem you had.
Okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. That's actually also really important because I always wonder, like, do you just like know everything you need to do instantly, or do you need to be constantly Googling things to figure it out as you go on, or what's
Particularly at the start of a project when you're getting set up, there's a lot of that. I
okay?
mean, there are people who are way smarter than me who can probably just write it all straight from their incredibly big brains. But yeah, I did a lot of Googling.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, so next question. Um, so I know this is the first game you've released, but did you have any like other games you had messed around with making, or is this truly like your first project?
I mean, as part of the learning process, you make tons of crappy little games. I think I made a Space Invaders clone. And that's one of the first bits of advice anyone will tell you when you're going into game development is have your great big project that you want to complete, but start with something really small. Go build Space Invaders or go build Tetris or something like that. Or maybe Tetris is complicated, but you build a whole bunch of crappy little games before you get to the game you really want to make, because if you're starting at trying to make a big RPG, you're just going to burn yourself out because it's so big and so complicated, and you don't when you're very new, like it's very hard to see how big that is.
Yeah, yeah, we've talked about that on here before. It's very easy when something doesn't like when you have an idea of something and you want to just jump into it, when it doesn't immediately turn out perfect, it's very easy to like just give up or shut down on
Hmm.
it and think it's
Yeah,
impossible. But in reality, what you should do is just, work your way up to it.
yeah. Give yourself the tools to manage, like to be able to manage those problems when they arise, because they will.
Yeah. All right. And speaking on that, what was the hardest part of making this game?
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. Look, I think the hardest part is not. I think this is applicable to probably any creative. Is knowing if anybody's gonna like it.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah.
it's that I guess it's sort of like that imposter syndrome type thing. But beyond like any technical problems and stuff, for which there were many, the hardest part is definitely getting the motivation to pour so much of your life into something that you know people might not like. Basically,
Yeah.
that's definitely been something that I've you know thought was very difficult to you know do.
Yeah, that's a big mood. As someone who makes YouTube videos while alternating between working and being in school and being, just carrying on with general gay activities like being a nerd and being depressed, I
Keeping the
can,
agenda fresh.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I can 100% relate to that because sometimes I just, I get ready to make a video and I'm like, man, what if I just didn't? Because there's a good
Yeah.
chance only like a handful of people are gonna see this, and maybe only a few of them are gonna actually like it. So, um,
Yeah, exactly that. That
yeah,
would be the hardest part.
yeah, I gotcha, I gotcha. So that this is marginally related, but I feel like probably a little bit of an extra struggle with that also is making a game explicitly labeled as gay, or like where
Mm,
that is like a actual part of the plot and that also is in the description of the game,
mm.
like when you
Yeah.
pop it up on Steam. Do you want to talk about that? Did you feel nervous making a game that was explicitly labeled as gay, or that was, like a gay game in air quotes?
So, yeah, I mean, people talk about this basically whenever I've posted to the subreddit. There's always someone who inevitably says, "Why do you have to talk about the fact that there's a gay protagonist in this game?" And I've it's a difficult question. I personally don't think that normality, as far as gay being normal and like increasing normality around the LGBTIQ plus community is the same as being invisible. I don't think that that people who are creating gay content should not mention it because that is some sort of normality when you just don't mention that there's gay characters in something. Um, so I kind of feel like, and I've seen this a lot. Like I actually haven't had these arguments. I'm just reading other people arguing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I kind of what people tend to say is that having that description, it being a video game about a gay hero, is a celebration of the fact that he's gay, and we should be proud to have gay heroes in our content, and we should be happy to see it reflected in the marketing. Um, and I kind of feel like that's a good argument to have with it. And people think that well, people have all sorts of opinions about what would happen to a game that has a label that is targeted at a specific community. And it isn't easy to label your game gay, because there are lots of horrific people on the internet, and they are very willing to leave very horrible comments and dislike everything you're doing on YouTube to make it look like your content's crap. Um, and so there's a lot of negativity that comes with labeling your game gay, or I mean, I guess labeling the fact that you have gay content in your game. And for me, as somebody who isn't really going to get their feelings hurt by trolls on the internet, I think it's really important that because I can stand up, I should, and I should say that my game has gay characters, because I don't want some Nazi to play it and enjoy it. If you're so disgusted by the idea that there is a gay storyline in the content that I'm creating, then I don't want you to have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That is a big ol' mood. Also, congrats. That was such a good explanation. I actually really love what you
I
just said
think
there.
about it a lot.
And that is what I'm like, with this channel. I pretty explicitly label everything I do gay. I mention the word gay within the first 5 seconds of the video so that people who,
Yeah,
are not about it, they don't get their feelings hurt. It's not like I tricked you to be here. You know what this
exactly.
is.
Exactly. And, I fully agree. Like, I do not want to trick people into this game, like by being cryptic about sexuality or anything like that. Because that was what gay content was for the longest time, was like just implied homosexuality and like maybe they're gay, but it's open up to interpretation so we don't offend, heterosexual sensibilities and all that sort of thing. And, it's one thing for you and I, where we live in countries that are I mean, I'm in Canada, so that's obviously gay paradise. But like you're in the US, there are kids out there that live in countries where it isn't okay to be gay, because the government will prosecute you for being who you are. And I think it's really important that they know that there are places out there where where they're allowed to be themselves, and they know that even though their government is a jerk, like they are not in themselves wrong.
Yeah, no joke, I actually have gotten messages from people from, I'll say unnamed countries, who have thanked me for making videos that are gay and on video games, basically because the video game part lets them disguise what they're listening to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so they just really appreciate having something that's, directly speaking to them, honestly, and, just talking about gay life and just, even just very mundane things like, going to the store and just having a little bit of having a little bit of a gay flashback, seeing people who were cute and etc. etc.
Mm.
But oh man, that was really well said. I really like that you said that. It is very hard to make gay content, viewers, and I mean we're already talking about this, but I really have to emphasize that, like straight people, a good chunk of them, at least people on the internet, are going to be a little bit hostile or just like, why does this exist? They're just going to be like either flat out hostile or just like very confused as to why you need to talk about anything gay.
Mm.
And then two, gay people are gonna have like a very weird relationship to it because some people are gonna like love it. They're just gonna be like, "Oh my God, gay! I'm so excited," and then other people are gonna be like, "Well, you're just adding to the problem by like focusing on gay stuff, and you shouldn't be doing that."
Absolutely. And I tend to find that that group of people are in the minority, and they tend to be the most privileged gay people out there that are saying stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People who should be trying harder for their communities, and just not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same song and dance. Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha. So, um, I guess I should move on here. We've kind of hit on this a little bit, but I guess what inspired you to make this game specifically? So, like, what inspired you to make the story you were trying to tell?
Well, I didn't see the story I told in Newfound Courage represented really in any media. And I know that I mean, from Reddit, but I know that it's a story without, talking in spoilers here. I know it's a story that um, a great deal of, particularly gay men, can relate to, and many have even, experienced it. So that was like so my biggest inspiration for the story was my own life.
Yeah.
As far as the romance plot goes, obviously all the fantasy stuff is made up, but the romance subplot was very much inspired by my own teen romances that I've had, or if you can call them romances.
Yeah, yeah. The second you said that, I was like, I've played the full game. Mm, I think this might be a clue to some tragic gay backstory.
Yeah, yeah. So that I mean that was the inspiration there. It's yeah from my own real life and from the lack of this type of story being out there at this point.
All right. So this is a follow-up. For people who have not played the game or have not watched the video or are curious but can't decide if they actually want the game, do you think you could provide maybe like a spoiler-free summary of like what this is?
Um, like from a story perspective.
Any perspective, what you want them to know. Like if you could sit down a young homosexual or just anyone, honestly, and you were like, I have something I want to tell you and I want to display it through a video game. How would you describe what you're trying to show them? What is your intent, I
um,
guess? Not to put you on the spot.
I'm a really bad salesperson. That's like my worst skill. Um, but I guess I would close the door, with them on the other side, and I would write it down on a sheet of paper, and I'd slip it under the door, and and go from there. But I guess at a high level, it's a story-driven adventure game. It's a very similar game, gameplay wise, to the Moon.
Hmm.
And if anyone doesn't know what To the Moon is, it's essentially uh, a, a game that doesn't have a great deal of gameplay. And it is very much just focused on the narrative. You're mainly going through cutscenes and dialogue and stuff like that in To the Moon. I've probably got a little bit more gameplay than To the Moon does. But yeah, so it's a sort of game that you can sit down and play the whole thing through. It'll take you about 3 hours, maybe 4 to 5 if you're 100% completionist. Um, but it tells the story of just a young gay hero who falls in love with his best friend that he's just met, and the world begins to unravel around them. As events outside of their control occur. And what I will say is that the story of the game is much more than just a story between Jake and Alex. It's a story about loss. It's a story about hope. And you're as Alex, you're touching the lives of an entire town. You're seeing. You're going into the worlds of many different people, and and making a positive impact on them. Essentially, okay, I give up. That's enough.
No, that was pretty good. And I will say one of my things I really liked is that, again, this is minimal spoilers, pardon me. But the game starts with a not very happy story. You're kind of where you're at for a not very happy reason, right?
Mm.
And I think that for me, it was just very empowering to see the character kind of, honestly, despite being hurt like that, just really be able to be open and make these connections with people. Because it's very easy to just permanently withdraw and, keep yourself in your box and not really, connect with people. And I think I almost said cute, but it's actually really, it's really sweet that the character is actually able to build these connections, that they're the foundation of the game, honestly.
Mm. Yeah, I hope so.
But all right, so you already answered my next question. I was going to say this seems to be a pretty personal story.
Sorry about
It's
that.
okay. No, that's good. So, we're kind of off the rails here. Is there anything you want to tell me about the game that you would like to add in before we maybe wrap things up here, or?
Well, I would say that the personal parts of the story aren't just Jake and Alex. There are people all through the town and referenced all through the game who helped the game be built. There are people from my personal lives. Heather and Marge are named for my late grandmothers. So there's a lot of me in there.
My
If
my
that's a good thing or not.
my jaw just dropped. I was like, "Oh my God." Okay, that's okay. My mind just got exploded inside out. That's actually wild. Okay. That's a good bit of trivia. If you ever get interviewed again like this, you should definitely lay that on someone because if
I'm
they
like
played through the
full of
full
trivia.
game, oh my. Okay, do you want to give me some more?
um, Jeez. I that's the only one I really had in my deck. Now I'm going to sound like a liar.
It's okay.
There are others, I swear. Oh, okay. Actually, here's one. So there's two dogs in the game.
Hmm.
Honey, which is the more plot centric dog, and Pepper. And surprise, surprise, they're my childhood dogs.
Oh.
But both down to the way they're colored and yeah. And the person standing behind, beside the black and white dog Pepper, is my little brother. So yeah,
Oh.
there you
Oh my God, I'm
go.
screaming. I
He
I
hasn't played it though, which is like, why did I bother?
oh. Do you think he will, or are you gonna send it to
Oh
him
yeah,
eventually?
he'll get around to it. He's
Okay.
just yeah, he doesn't play that many games.
Okay, I gotcha, I gotcha. Oh my God, that's actually really cute. I'm also so glad that you can pet the dogs in the game. It makes me so
Yeah,
happy.
well, we actually wanted to like implement a full-on petting animation, and I might still patch that in at some point. We just didn't get time. That was about the one thing that we ended up having to not do.
My eyes got so wide because I thought you were about to say a full-on petting mini game, and I was about to
No, I'm
lose
here for that.
my mind.
That'll be my next project. That's a Newfound Courage. Just a game where you pet dogs for just forever. Really, there's no time limit.
Honestly, it sounds ideal. It sounds very calming.
Full VR, like.
Full VR immersion. I can't wait to see the commercial with that, where they try to make it really epic looking with explosions, but it's still just about petting dogs.
Got that like real intense trailer music, like with that, like from Inception. That one.
Hmm. Lots of droning noises and just
Exactly.
exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, that's actually beautiful. So this actually related to my follow-up question. Do you have any future game projects in mind?
Well, a lot of people want me to do DLC for Newfound Courage, and I might. Like, I would. There's places where I can still take Alex's story in particular, and there's definitely parts of the lore that I've created that are not explored in the game but are mentioned. So I would like to do DLC, but I can't make any promises about that just yet.
Yeah, I understand. That's a bit of an investment, and I mean, I feel like the game is pretty solid so far. I mean, sometimes when there's a little left unsaid, it makes the heart yearn and wander a little bit, and it's good
Yeah,
to
I agree. I totally agree.
be able to make your mind go in places and wonder things for the characters that aren't explicitly stated.
Well, that's it. You've talked me out of doing any DLC. So next time somebody asks me, I'll just be like, nope, sorry. Ethan told me no DLC.
I mean, if you want to personally yell at me, feel free to subscribe to my channel first,
Yes,
and then
subscribe for sure.
subscribe, and then drop me a message and tell me how much you hate me. I'd be glad to. I would read it in a video if honestly, if you wanted me to.
That sounds good.
Okay, well, I don't really have anything else. Actually, you know what? You said you played Coming Out on Top. Who did you pursue first?
Oh God, I don't remember.
What's your tier list? You don't remember your tier list?
No, it was a while ago. I pretty
Okay.
much played it when it released, but I'll Discord you it. I'll need to look it up.
Okay, I gotcha.
I can
Spoilers.
remember Dream Daddy though. Dream Daddy, it was the principal.
The
Uh,
principal.
yeah,
Oh, you liked. Okay, I know who you're talking. I don't remember his name. I'm screaming. I know who you're talking about though.
I don't remember
The
anyone's
teacher.
names.
I'm
I can
I'm
barely even remember anyone like from coming in on top. But
oh, I am a little annoyed. Yeah, the one with the naughty son. Yes, I know who you're
yes,
talking about. Yeah. What'd you
uh,
like about him? Did you like his mustache? Because it was a meme for me that it was very powerful.
yeah, I like a strong mustache. He just seemed like he had his life together, and I appreciate that. I need that, someone who's not a mess.
That's valid.
My partner in real life isn't a mess, so I'm getting it.
Oh yeah, does your partner play video games? Oh, I mean, I guess yeah, you play together, but like, are y'all like a similar type of gamer or?
So he's a mainly a Nintendo gamer, whereas I'm like more of a. I mean, I love Nintendo as well, but I do a lot more, PC gaming and stuff like that. I play way too many Blizzard games, like we mentioned Overwatch earlier. I've played a lot of WoW.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not
Oh,
super proud of it, especially recently because it's really bad at the
ugh,
moment.
ugh. I actually am a big WoW player. It really
Oh, you're kidding?
yeah, oh my God, I played so much WoW. I used to in-game raid a lot, all through late high school and college, and I mean, you know what? We're just talking, but but let's just keep going. And if you don't want to keep watching this, just turn off the video. So I basically my relationship with WoW is that I was lonely and gay, and I was like in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, I just need something partially to take me away, but also something to dump all of my feelings into so that I can have some sort of social
Mm,
interaction. Because it was basically like there weren't any other nerds to interact with. And so I needed to be social somehow, but I was still really awkward and very, very gay.
mhm.
And so I just jumped into this MMO and was like, I need to find a family,
Mm.
basically.
Oh, I
And
get it. I get
and
it.
so I just explored Azeroth very aggressively, and eventually I just made a lot of friends. And a lot of the friends I have right now that I'm like the longest friends I've had are people I've met through World of Warcraft, and we still talk pretty regularly.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty much same here. Fun fact: the first gay person I ever spoke to was on WoW in my entire life.
Oh wait,
Uh,
how'd that go? What was that like?
well, we didn't know, like we were kids, but like it was actually quite interesting because I grew up in basically the Texas of Australia, like the really homophobic style thing.
Hmm.
um, and it was funny because like I played with a lot of my high school friends, and this guy he played a moonkin, funnily enough,
Hmm.
and he was really good, and we like really respected him, and we raided with him all the time. And then we found out he was gay, but like we already liked him, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Whereas like typically, when you're in a really homophobic place, your immediate reaction is to reject them and to stay away. I'm not like you, kind of thing. So
Hmm.
that was probably had a really good impact on me, in hindsight.
Yeah, yeah. Ironically, I didn't really meet. Well, actually, that's not true. I did meet a few homos in WoW, but like, those weren't the people that I became super close to. I think that I mostly like a lot of the people I became close to were a lot older than me or were like middle-aged women. Honestly.
Oh man, I've got some of those as well.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're the best. Got like kids and like fulfilling careers and stuff, and they were my friend on WoW 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like when you can hear their kids growing up in the background. Like you've been playing with this person for 5 years and you can hear their kid like finally be able to talk. It's so wild. It's just it truly is something magical.
Yeah, that game is special.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty, in my experience, that's a pretty common gay experience too, honestly, where like, if you're not able to really be close to people because of homophobia in person, like your heart's gonna wander and try to find it any way you can. And so you'll find ways to be close to people, and oftentimes video games becomes that medium. And I always like to say that honestly, even though I've always been a nerd, video game or being gay made me a little bit more of a nerd than I otherwise would have, because it just kind of pushed me in that direction because people were being, assholes, and so I was like, I guess I'll just hang out in these fantasy worlds, bro.
Totally. And like I feel like video game developers, obviously they've been doing a lot of stuff recently to be more inclusive to the LGBT community, but like video games were probably the first medium to really try really hard to have involvement with LGBT people, like The Sims, obviously Fable, and like if
Yeah.
you just look it up, there's like a million games that had gay characters and gay storylines well before TV was really doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think people tend to think that video games are kind of like this really bro-ish, like,
Mm.
medium that just never does anything and is very rigid and is very uniformly, homophobic or just any sort of other type of rude. But at the same time, we've always had people sneaking in little peeks of gay stuff that they can get away with, and
Mm.
just trying to put in what they can, given the circumstances. And I mean, some of it is not very flattering, and then other stuff,
Oh yeah.
it's obvious someone, they wanted to do something different and, kind of see what kind of boundaries they could push and get something interesting in there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I remember in the early 2000s, internet just really poring over websites to look for any sort of gay shit and just like looking over the same lists of gay characters in video games repeatedly, hoping that I missed one.
Yeah, God. Let's hope the next generation doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Although, honestly, it was exciting at the same time because it's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put all of this work into it, but now, I mean, not to be a curmudgeon, but the kids, they have it a good bit easier.
Oh my God,
There's a
right.
little bit of a market in media for LGBT stuff. Like you can find your young adult gay protagonists and
Hmm.
the like. So that's pretty nice.
I remember, like, gosh, this is so off topic, but I remember when I was a kid. There's this channel in Australia called SBS, and it was like the channel. I think every country has one, but it's the channel that was notorious for just having weird stuff on it, like just some weird Scandinavian TV program where they're all just screaming at each other in a white room or something like that. So just utterly bizarre. And I remember they used to have queer as folk on it on their on their schedule or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one time I was just scrolling through channels and I saw it. And I obviously turned it off right away when I figured out what it was because of the shame. But then, like once I realized it was a thing, like every so often I'd go and look for it to see if it was still on. Yeah. So I guess that's similar to your scouring the internet for gay video game characters, channel
Yeah.
surfing for it.
Yeah, I actually did that too. I actually used to sneak, and so my dad was convinced to buy an unnecessarily large satellite package because that's just that's just how he is. And so it included logo on it, the gay network,
Oh yeah.
and I used to just sneak and like literally like check every room in the house to make sure everyone was in their proper place, and like just dash into my room like a ninja, close the door as much as I could without drawing attention, and just like pre-program the remote to switch back to Cartoon Network, and then also be on logo. That way, if they walked in, I could just switch back to Cartoon Network instantly.
Oh, nice.
And I remember not really understanding a lot what was going on. I was a little bit too young to really understand Queer as Folk fully, but I did love doing that. That was my little adventure that I had every once in a while.
Yep, very relatable.
But I think this is a good stopping point. We're getting pretty close to an hour here, so
It's
well,
so off topic, so it sounds
yeah.
good.
And honestly, I have half a mind just to dump this raw onto the channel and just be like, if you wanna hear all of this, just listen to all of it. Cause I mean, I don't, we didn't, we didn't do anything. I mean, it was on topic for the most part, right? It was
Yeah.
something gay.
Yeah, it's all pretty gay,
Yeah, I mean that matches the channel theme. So I'm about to cut the recording. I do appreciate you showing up here and honestly following through. Sometimes when you reach out to people, they can be a little bit hostile if you're asking to interview them, or alternatively, they'll be like, "Who the hell are you?" And you were just like the instant, the instant I asked, you were just like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it."
Well, I'm like super down to like help other LGBT, media, uh, well, just any LGBT gaming project. I try to do my best. Like pretty much any streamer that wants a copy, no matter how small their channel is, I do my best to help them out. Like, probably shouldn't say that, but everyone would just create fake Twitch accounts and all. But yeah, like I'm very very happy to help. Your channel, although it doesn't seem like you really need it, but
I mean, I,
I'm
I do, I do, but yes.
yeah, very happy. Like, I mean, whatever limited internet power I have to help other LGBT content creators, I'm always super down to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty hype, and I'm glad to hear that. And likewise for y'all, if you're still listening, I am always very glad to help other people out if you want to get your foot in the door trying to start streaming or just learning what to do to just start recording yourself playing a video game or how to start making topics for videos or how to get comfortable talking on a microphone for an hour. That
If you figure
definitely
that out, tell us
I
or me
mean,
specifically.
I'm pretty good with it now. I've been doing this for about 5 or so years. So,
Yeah, you're good.
but and hey, you're doing pretty solid too, bro.
I'm just good at talking nonsense.
I mean, that's basically what YouTubing is, honestly. All right, but I thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. You want to say bye, Curtis?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it. Had a great time. Check out Newfound Courage.